All right, we are unmuted, so go ahead.
Welcome, everybody, to the Committee of Adjustment for October 8th, 2024. This is a quasi-judicial forum, which means that if a decision is final tonight, it is final, and only after the 20-day appeal period, okay? So it doesn't go any further than tonight. If you have any questions during our meeting, please hold your hand up, and you have to state your name and address so it can be added to the minutes of our meeting, okay? And if you only speak French, we'll gladly speak to you in French, all right? So we're going ahead with the declaration of pecuniary interests. Nobody has any. All right. The adoption of the agenda.
It is moved by Rock St. Louis and seconded by Jonathan Sandiford. Be it resolved that the agenda for the Committee of Adjustment meeting held on October 8th, 2024 be adopted as presented.
As everything is okay, everybody in favor? Carried. Move on to the application. So number one, C48. Oh, I'm sorry.
You could adopt the minutes.
Yeah, adoption of the minutes. I'm going to. Adoption of the minutes. Go ahead.
It is moved by Jonathan Sandiford and seconded by Rock St. Louis. Be it resolved that the minutes of the Committee of Adjustment meeting held on September 10th, 2024 be adopted as presented.
Any changes to the minutes? Everything's okay? I'll bring it to a vote. Everybody in favor? Carried. Now we'll move on to our consent applications. Number one, C48/24, Edward Chalmers.
It is moved by Jonathan Sandiford and seconded by Rock St. Louis. Be it resolved that the consent application made by Edward Chalmers for the creation of a new lot at 175 Riding Stable Road, Municipality of West Nipissing, is approved on the following conditions: that a reference plan be prepared and deposited in the Land Registry Office, and a copy of the new survey be filed with the municipality, confirmation that all property taxes are paid up to date, that all conditions be met on or before October 9th, 2026, being 2 years from the date of giving notice of the consent, shall be deemed not to have been given as per section 5320 of the Planning Act, that the owner provide written acknowledgement that Riding Stable Road is not a municipally maintained road and that the municipality will not assume nor maintain the road, and that a transfer deed of land be submitted to the Secretary Treasurer for issuance of a certificate of consent. This application is to create one new lot. The property has an area of about 2.9 hectares, so just over 7 acres, with 120 meters of frontage onto Riding Stable. The retained will be approximately 19 hectares, 47 acres.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Goodridge, you're the consultant.
Yes, we are.
Nothing to add on it?
Not really. Lots of frontage, lots of area, good road access.
Absolutely. Okay.
May I
Go
have
ahead.
a question? Who then does maintain Riding Stable Road if we do not maintain Riding Stable Road? Because we do have other residences along that road.
Pioneer Construction.
Pardon me? Pioneer Construction, because their quarries up there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And locals.
Yeah,
Johnson.
and the local users.
The local.
Okay, thank you.
Started out as a federal government road. If they still have a need to maintain it, they'll come in and do so. The rest of the time, it's the users of the road that maintain it,
Okay,
primarily Pioneer.
all right. Any more questions from our panel? Any questions from our audience? No? If hearing none, I'll bring it to a vote. Everybody in favor? Carried. Number two, C49/24, Guy and Nicole Legault.
I'm just pulling up the presentation here.
Mhm.
It is moved by Rock St. Louis and seconded by Jonathan Sandiford. Be it resolved that the consent application made by Guy and Nicole Legault for the lot addition at 173 Cowan Road is approved on the following conditions: that a reference plan be prepared and deposited in the Land Registry Office, and a copy of the new survey be filed with the municipality, confirmation that all property taxes are paid up to date, that all conditions be met on or before October 9th, 2026, being 2 years from the date of giving notice, that a transfer be submitted to the Secretary Treasurer for the issuance of certificate of consent. The municipal clerk shall, pursuant to section 65(1) of the Drainage Act, instruct the municipal engineer to apportion the assessment for the drainage maintenance among the parts into which the lands are being divided, and that a PIN consolidation be registered in the Land Registry Office in order to consolidate the lot addition lands with the lands to which they are being added. Through you, Mr. Chair, this application, there was previously a severance in 2023 that was finalized in June, which created the beige section that we see on the plan as one lot and the yellow and green as a separate lot. The applicant is now coming in to amend that so that the property is the green piece and then the yellow and beige would be one portion.
Okay. The beige is moving on to the yellow.
That is correct, yes.
Okay. All right. Do we have any questions from our panel? Go ahead, Kathleen.
These are not waterfront properties.
Through you, Mr. Chair, it's a bit challenging to see on the screen, but there is a slight portion of frontage onto Lake Nipissing on the other side of the road, which is just that small section you can see at the bottom of the plan there.
And is that owned by the owner?
Yes.
Okay. No other questions? Okay, I'll bring it to a vote. Everybody in favor? Carried. Number 3, C50/24, Justin Leblanc.
It is moved by Rob St. Louis and seconded by Jonathan Sanford. Be it resolved that the consent application made by Justin LeBlanc for the creation of a new lot at Sandy Falls Road is approved on the following conditions. That a reference plan be prepared and deposited in the Land Registry Office and a copy of the new survey be filed with the municipality. Confirmation that all property taxes are up to date. That the conditions be met on or before October 9th, 2026, being 2 years from the date of giving notice. That a transfer be submitted to the Secretary Treasurer for the issuance of a certificate of consent, and that the owner provides a written acknowledgement that Sandy Falls Road is not a municipally maintained road and that the municipality will not assume nor maintain the road. Through you, Mr. Chair, this application is to create one new lot that fronts on Sandy Falls Road. This is within our industrial zone, and both the severed and retained do comply with the required size. The severed's about 16.5 hectares, 40 acres, and the retained would be 30 hectares, 77 acres.
Okay. So my question with the plan is that line that goes across, is that a road or a, or is that water that separates that right there?
That is a private resource road.
Okay. So that's why they're just following the
That is correct, yes.
natural curvature of that road. Okay. I wasn't sure I know the area, but I wasn't sure where that line was, so.
Yeah.
Any questions from our panel? Go ahead, Dan.
Sorry. Is that to build or they're just severing the land? Do we know?
I have not received any indication of any future development proposed at this time, so I'm not aware.
Well, because you said it's industrial, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll ask the same questions with Bradley Stable Road, who does maintain Sandy Falls Road.
A resident.
Thank you.
It's privately done, yeah. Okay, any more questions from our panel? No. From the audience? No. Okay, hearing none, I'll bring it to a vote. Everybody in favor? Carried. We'll move on to number 4, C51/24, Denise Deschamps, André Courchain.
It is moved by Jonathan Sanford and seconded by Rock St. Louis. Be it resolved that the consent application for a lot addition at 44 Maurice Road is approved on the following conditions. That a reference plan be prepared and deposited in the Land Registry Office and a copy of the new survey be filed with the municipality. confirmation that all property taxes are paid up to date, that all conditions be met on or before October 9th, 2026, being 2 years from the date of giving notice of the consent, that a transfer be submitted to the Secretary Treasurer for issuance of a certificate of consent. In the event that any portion of a municipally maintained road be located on either of the severed or retained lands, that 10 meters from center line of the maintained and traveled roadway, including the retained lands, shall be surveyed at the owner's cost and transferred to the municipality as a condition of the within severance, and that a PIN consolidation be registered in the Land Registry Office in order to consolidate the lot addition lands with the lands to which they are being added. Through you, Mr. Chair, this is a lot addition to rectify the fact that there is currently the driveway access, which is on 44 Maurice Road, and they're just looking to do, it's about 60 square meters that they're looking to do as a lot addition to address that driveway encroachment.
Which is that green pie shape, right?
That is correct, yes.
Okay. Any questions from our panel? Don, go ahead. You had a question, Don?
I would like the last condition taken off. The road
Just to
for road, if any part of the road.
Go ahead.
I was waiting to be. Thank you. I have been in discussions with one of the owners, and I did indicate that we would be speaking with our Public Works Department. Obviously, it's not the owner's responsibility on a small lot addition to have to transfer the road. We are discussing it with the owners as to their willingness to transfer that portion to the municipality because the road does cut through their property. But with a condition will be waived in the event that we are unable to, we won't be asking for the road. If we can't get it, we're gonna pay for it. If there's money.
You're okay, Don? Yeah, okay. Any more questions? Paul?
No, that's good. That's the answer we wanted to hear.
Okay. All right. Any questions from our from the audience? No? Any more questions from our panel? Okay. Hearing none, we'll bring it to a vote. Everybody in favor? Carried. Okay, number 5, C21/24, Herbert and Yvonne van der Hayden.
It is moved by Kathleen Rochant and seconded by Rox St. Louis. Be it resolved that the consent application made by Hubert and Yvonne Vanderheiden for the creation of a new lot at Piquette Road is approved on the following conditions: that a reference plan be prepared and deposited in the Land Registry Office, and a copy of the survey be filed with the municipality, confirmation that all property taxes are up to date, that all conditions be met on or before October 9th, 2026, being 2 years from the date of giving notice, that a transfer be submitted to the Secretary Treasurer for the issuance of a certificate of consent. In the event that any portion of a municipally maintained and traveled road be located on either the severed or retained lands, that 10 meters from center line of the maintained and traveled roadway, including the retained lands, shall be surveyed at the owner's cost and transferred to the municipality as a condition of the within severance, and that the municipal clerk shall, pursuant to Section 65(1) of the Draining Act, instruct the municipal engineer to apportion the assessment for the drain maintenance among the parts into which the land is being subdivided. Through you, Mr. Chair, this is an amendment to a previous application that was heard and approved in April. Originally, the applicant had received approval for a lot on the west corner, and they're now looking to shift it to the eastern corner of the property. Same size configuration.
Okay. Mr. Paul, is it, I'm just curious, is it because of bedrock or something that the owner would then move on to the other side of the property?
Honestly, I'm not sure on this one, or whether it was just that purchasers preferred the other
Okay,
location, and so they've accommodated that.
okay. All right,
So, sorry.
Go
So
ahead.
therefore, the other one that we had approved in April will be canceled? Is that it?
That is correct, yes.
Any more questions? No? Okay. Hearing none, I'll bring it to vote. Everybody in favor? Carried. Move on to number 6, C40/24, Raymond Swarbrick.
It is moved by Rox St. Louis and seconded by Kathleen Rochon. Be it resolved that the conditions of provisional consent C40-24 granted on July 11th, 2024 be amended as follows. That the consent application made by Raymond Swarbrick and Carmen Van Empel for a right-of-way at 88 Promenade du Lac in favor of Lot 4, 36M-710, and part of Lot 1, Concession C, Parts 15 and 20, and Part 12, 36R-14206, is approved on the following conditions. That a reference plan be prepared and deposited in the Land Registry Office, and a copy of the new survey be filed with the municipality. Confirmation that all property taxes are paid to date. That all conditions be met on or before October 9th, 2026, being 2 years from the date of giving notice. And that a transfer be submitted to the Secretary Treasurer on the issuance of certificate of consent. And Madam Clerk will speak to the background on this one.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. You will recall in July, we had considered an application, or this committee had considered an application for a right-of-way from across a small sliver of land owned by Mr. and Mrs. Mr. Raymond Swarbrick and Mrs. Carmen Van Empel. They had agreed to allow an owner on the north side of the road to cross over the portion of the property that they own on the opposite side of the road in order to construct an entrance to reach his property. You will recall there was some lively conversation at the meeting, and as a result, the decision to grant the right-of-way to both of the parcels that was requested was amended to only allow it to access the one lot. Subsequent to that, the owners, although they had a right of appeal, they chose not to do that because it is both costly for the municipality and costly for residents, approached the municipality and asked if the conditions could be changed. And under the Planning Act, there is an option for changed conditions. Not knowing really what to do with this, I sought some legal advice from the municipality's solicitor, who essentially provided the information that I've provided in the memo attached to your report. Essentially, the crux of the matter is that the decision that was before the committee was for the appropriateness of a right-of-way over Mr. Swarbrick and Mrs. Van Empel's property. The conditions of an approval of something that's the subdivision agreement that Mr. O'Connor had entered into with the municipality has no bearing on what was before the committee at that time. The committee was only considering the appropriateness of the right-of-way in the location it was being granted. So the lawyer indicated that essentially the committee had acted in, I'm going to use the word ultra vires, but outside of its authority in considering something that is outside of the Planning Act considerations for making a decision regarding the severance. So with respect, the owners are asking if the conditions could be changed to reconsider and allow the right-of-way to be pertinent to both his Lot 4 and his retained lands.
Any questions from our panel? No? Any questions from the audience? No? I guess it's straightforward. We're just giving them access to the property above, right? That's what they're asking.
That's correct.
Okay. Hearing none, I'll bring it to a vote. Everybody in favor? Carried. Okay. We'll move on to number 7. C.
Just before we move on, everyone did receive a copy of the correspondence that we received this afternoon.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure.
C28/24, Paul and Jose Mondou.
Through you, Mr. Chair, this is concurrent with the minor variance application, and
Oh,
if
you're
you're
right.
okay with it, if we could do both resolutions.
Absolutely. Let's do both.
Thank you. It is moved by Roxanne Louis and seconded by Kathleen Marchand. Be it resolved that a consent application made by Paul and Jose Mondu for the creation of a new lot at Sandy Island is approved on the following conditions: that a reference plan be prepared and deposited in the land registry office, and a copy of a new survey be filed with the municipality, confirmation that all property taxes are paid up to date, that all conditions be met on or before October 9th, 2026, being 2 years from the date of giving notice, that the transfer be submitted to the Secretary Treasurer for the issuance of a certificate of consent, that a PIN consolidation be registered in the land registry office in order to consolidate the severed lands, and that concurrent minor variance application MV 2024/4 be approved. And on the second resolution, it is moved by Kathleen Marchand and seconded by Roxanne Louis. Be it resolved that the conditions of provisional minor variance application granted on May 14th, 2024 be changed as follows. It is the decision of the Committee of Adjustment to approve the variance application to reduce the minimum lot area from 1 hectare to 0.5 hectares on the severed lands for the following reasons. It meets the general intent and purpose of the official plan and zoning bylaw. The variance is considered desirable for the appropriate development of the property. And in the opinion of the committee, the variance is minor in nature. This application was also seen earlier this year in May. The previous application was to reduce the permitted lot area from 1 hectare to 0.6, and then an associated consent application. When they were doing the field surveying to complete that reference plan to deposit, there was an accessory structure that was identified on the lands that the applicants want to keep with the retained cottage. So they are coming back to request a further reduction to that lot area so that that part can be incorporated into the retained lands.
Can you pull the maps up on the screen?
Yep. So on the previous application, this line that we see going north-south followed all the way through and came to a point. And right in that area is where the accessory structure was located.
Okay. So now you're just cutting off that structure to stay in part into the other
To stay
property.
with the retained, yes.
Okay, with the retained. Everybody see is there any questions from our panel?
I think so, but I just can't find the maps that show what I'm looking for.
I believe Dawn has some comments to share.
Just something to add. If you looked at the original application, we did have 0.54 in the application and 0.6 on the sketch. So we knew we were coming down to in that area. And the building wise, it's a fairly big garage structure. So they're trying to keep it on the retain, and we gave them enough room to be able to get into it.
Okay, thank you. You understand? We're good? You want the map shown on?
Well, it would have been helpful to show where the original line went and like in comparison to where they're putting it now, because
It was
it's,
straight.
I don't know
through.
if the map I'm looking at is what we're approving or what was already approved.
Okay,
My apologies. The
I'm
map,
sorry. I don't really get what we're doing here, so I'm trying to.
I totally understand. The map that we are looking at now on the screen is the revised plan.
Okay.
I'll just quickly draw on that line that I just drew
Mhm.
is where the original line was on the original application. So it's this triangle in here that was originally going to go with the severed that is now being added to the retained or kept with the retained.
Okay, thank you.
all right. Any more questions from our panel? No? Any questions from our audience? No? Pretty straightforward here. Okay, hearing none, I'll bring it to a vote. Everybody in favor? Carried.
And if I could just receive
And
confirmation that that's on the minor variance.
for the
and
minor variance also?
consent.
Everybody in favor?
Yeah.
Carried.
Thank you.
Okay. We'll move on to our last, the minor variance application, MV 2024/09, Alan and Denise Purdon.
It is moved by Rob St. Louis and seconded by Jonathan Sanford. It is decision of the Committee of Adjustment to approve variance setback made by Alan and Denise Purdy to permit an accessory structure in the required front yard with a front yard setback of 4.9 meters for the following reasons. It meets the general intent and purpose of the official plan and zoning bylaw. The variance is considered desirable for the appropriate development of the property. And in the opinion of the committee, the variance is minor in nature. Through you, Mr. Chair, this application was originally circulated with a request for a reduced setback of 3.6 meters. There have since been discussions with the applicants and they've improved their proposal and now are requesting a setback of 4.9 meters. The background here is that there was a previous boathouse that was destroyed in a fire, and they are looking to rebuild a marine storage facility to keep their boats on land instead of rebuilding a boathouse. They're currently proposing a structure that is slightly smaller than the original boathouse was. The size that they're looking at building is just large enough to fit the two boats that they currently have. I did do a site visit. It is currently a legally non-conforming undersized lot. And given the location of their servicing and the positioning of the house and the fact that the one corner of their property is a shared driveway access with the neighbors to the west, there really isn't an alternate location for this proposed structure.
Okay. Go ahead, Ruck.
So, sorry, this structure is going to be going between the home and the lake, I assume? Is that what you're,
Like to see it too.
Yeah, 1 second, sorry. So this is an aerial photo of
Yeah.
the property. This is the boathouse that was originally there that was in a fire,
Okay.
and they're looking to put it right about here.
okay, so it's the home on the right, not the home on the left.
Correct, yes,
Okay,
it's
my
this with the
apologies.
gray roof. Yeah,
Okay. Go ahead, sir.
Oh, that's fine. I was just gonna try to help answer his question.
No, I was under the impression it was the home on the left, and I was thinking, well, there's plenty of room behind that home.
So that's the second house in from the corner. It's not the brick house right on the corner.
No, it's the second one.
Are you Mr. Purdy?
Yes.
Okay. Just to make sure.
thank you.
Added. Okay, any more questions?
What's the setback required there? It's 15 meters usually.
So there's two alternative approaches that could have been taken with this application. The request here is to permit an accessory structure in the front yard, and that front yard reduced from 18 meters to 5 meters. The alternative approach to this variance request would have been to allow it as a marine storage facility instead of just a general accessory structure. Marine storage facilities do have a setback of only 8 meters compared to the 18. However, to go through that application, they would have also had to request an increase to the maximum gross floor area because we do limit marine storage facilities to 45 square meters, where the proposed is at about 53 square meters.
Okay. And the lot coverage with the addition of that building is within the,
Yes.
All right. Any more questions? Any questions from our audience? No? Hearing none, I'll bring it to a vote. Everybody in favor? Carried. Now, I do see we have some extra ones that are not on the,
They're on each.
oh, they're on the other side. I apologize.
We have to go to the other side this
I
time.
have to go to the other side. That's right. That's Sandra tonight. That's one. All right. So we'll go to number 3, minor variance 2024/12, Zion System Consultants, Inc.
It is moved by Jonathan Sanford and seconded by Rob St. Louis. It is the decision of committee adjustment to approve the variance application made by Dion Systems Consultants to reduce the watercourse setback from 18 meters to 14.57 meters for the dwelling and from 18 meters to 10.75 meters for the attached roof deck for the following reasons. It meets the general intent and purpose of the official plan and the zoning bylaw. The variance is considered desirable for the appropriate of the property, and in the opinion of the committee, the variance is minor in nature. Through you, Mr. Chair, this is a property that is fairly constrained by rocks, which is why they're looking at this location. We've worded it that the reduced setback applies only to the dwelling, and then it's different for the attached roof deck to ensure that that is not enclosed in the future to create an even more intense encroachment, we'll say.
Yeah. Do you have it on? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I can't
Playfair
find it.
Road does not
Yeah,
appear
it doesn't show up in
in
Google
Apple
Maps.
Maps or Google Maps.
Through you, Mr. Chair, it's, you will recall last year we dealt with Memquisite.
Yes.
These are the lots that were created by the Memquisite subdivision, and they just haven't made it into the Google people yet. And it is a private road, so the likelihood they may never.
Okay. So this is completely new, right?
So which
Okay.
day is it? I'm just trying to see, do we know? Like if we look on at Lake Nipissing,
It's in the township of Loudon. So when you turn onto Memquisite Road, so it's in the
Oh,
West
okay.
Arms.
It's right.
no, it's not even close.
I think it's this one right here.
There you go. And we have
So is this
enough,
a new construction of the entire building?
Yes.
You'll recall, I think the first 3 or 4 lots had structures already on them.
yes,
And I think there were 3 vacant lots as well in that subdivision.
okay. And obviously it'll meet all the criteria for setbacks for, and septic also. And septic, well, it has to be approved for it to go forward, so.
That has been approved. Sorry,
Oh,
that has been approved.
okay, your name, sir?
Rick Dion.
Rick,
The owner of
okay,
Dion Systems Consultants.
okay. All right, so everything is a go then.
So sorry, so just, I was trying to find it and I lost track of it. We're looking at, it's a deck or a,
Complete new building.
oh, it's a new build, okay.
Yes.
Why did I hear the word decking a while ago? And
So-
no,
Because there's a setback for.
okay, I heard that.
Yes, it's been, through Mr. Chair, it's been broken down into 2 different setbacks so that there's one reduction for the dwelling, it's that 14.5 meters, and then the roof deck does extend closer to the water, so that reduction is to 10.75 meters.
Okay.
And it's all due to the rock that's around there, right?
Right. So
To avoid blasting.
Absolutely.
I just have one question.
Go ahead.
Mentioned something about enclosure. Part of that decking is screened in porch. Is that considered enclosure?
If it's just screened and it's not livable space, that would be,
Not livable space, it's just a screened in porch.
Anything to add?
No, I'm just gonna say it's northern Ontario. You're not going outside in the spring unless there's spring.
Screen, yeah. You'll be eating mosquitoes. Okay, that's good. We're all good. Any questions from our panel? No? No more questions from our audience? Hearing none, I'll bring it to a vote. Everybody in favor? Carried. Next up, no. Okay. Minor variance number 4, 2024/13. Carolyn Zettler?
Zeitler.
Zeitler. Go ahead.
It is moved by Kathleen Marchand and seconded by Jonathan Sanderford, sorry, mixing everyone up. One of those. It is the decision of the Committee of Adjustment to approve the variance application made by Carolyn Stephen Zeitler to legalize the existing rear yard setback of 2 meters and a side yard setback of 0 meters to permit an addition for the following reasons. It meets the general intent and purpose of the official plan and zoning bylaw. The variance is considered desirable for the appropriate development of the property. And in the opinion of the committee, the variance is minor in nature. Through you, Mr. Chair, this is legalizing an existing situation to allow for an addition. Our zoning bylaw does permit additions of up to 25% of the existing gross floor area without a variance, provided that you're not making the situation worse. The proposed addition is approximately 70% of the existing gross floor area. So we do have to go through the minor variance process for this. The applicants have made an application to the ministry to obtain the crown land. It is crown on both the side and rear yard that those variances are required for. So they've made their application for the crown land, the purchase of the crown land to address the encroachments and the setback concerns. So this is essentially a temporary fix so that they can continue with their addition while we wait for that crown land purchase.
Okay. Go ahead, Kathleen.
Okay, so the crown land is the land that would make that lot straight across with the rest of the lots. I don't know, at the southwest. And then the southeast, the rounded portion of that point, is that correct?
Through you, Mr. Chair, it is a bit challenging as our mapping that we rely on is shifted. So it's not quite reflective of the situation. The house currently is situated here. The crown lands they are looking to obtain are to the right side and to the rear of the house.
My question is, the two additions, the two proposed, is what the setbacks they're asking for, correct?
The proposed additions, portions of them do not comply with the side yard requirements. A section of it does, but we have to legalize the most intense setback challenge. So the 2 meters and the 0 meters are actually for the existing portion of the home, not the additions.
Is a separate variance required for the setbacks on the proposed additions that don't meet the setbacks?
Through you, Mr. Chair, hopefully the additions, once there's that crown land addition, there will be no setback concerns. But the proposed addition to the west side doesn't quite comply with that rear yard setback requirement as of currently.
Okay, so would that require another application?
No further application would be required because this would legalize what's sitting there existing.
Go ahead, Darrell.
So my question, I guess, is what if they're not approved by the Crown land to purchase it? So if we approve this
And they aren't able to
and they're not
acquire
able
that
to
land?
acquire that land, then what, we've approved two structures that technically we shouldn't have. Is that correct?
Go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Chair, the building is already there. The portions that we are legalizing are already there. They're already existing. The structures are already on the ground. They're adding some additions to the property, but when we're doing a minor variance, you only deal with the most intensive setback. So if we reduce that side yard down to 0, which is on the corner where the encroachment is, then everything else bigger than 0 would comply. But in this case.
So by approving this, then you're saying that they could actually build to that 0 setback because the setback on the entire property is set to 0. So
No.
if they came to the municipality and said, we are building on this 0 line right here because we've approved a 0 setback, that would legalize what would be not a good planning or build, like do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, you're saying we are approving this setback for those two lot lines across the entirety of the property. Then they could build a shed at 0, they could build a garage at 0, like they would not need to meet the regular setbacks going forward.
Through you, Mr. Chair, if that is a concern of the committee, we can add a condition to the minor variance that states that the variance be in substantial conformity with the plans presented. That ensures that what you're looking at now is what will be happening within some degree. There may be very slight changes, but at the building permit stage, we would review their building permit plans and the plans that were provided with the minor variance application and ensure that that is what is going to be proposed.
I'm still not clear on what,
Yeah, no.
on what the minor variance, is it because the corner of the house is over? Or is it the new, these here? Is it these here? The, those, dimensions that are not conforming?
The sections that we are legalizing is this corner here where there is an encroachment.
Okay.
We can't legalize an encroachment, so we're legalizing a 0-yard setback. And then this back rear corner is the closest point to the rear yard. So those are the setbacks we're legalizing.
So why do we need to legalize what's existing? Because wouldn't it just be non-existing, non-conforming? When was the existing structure built?
The existing structure was built pre-current zoning bylaw. The reason that we have to legalize what's there is because our zoning bylaw only allows provisions for additions of 25% of the gross floor area. Otherwise, once you exceed that, you're losing your legal non-conforming status because you're changing the structure and you have to comply with the current standards.
Okay, so it's what's existing that we're looking at. So that's why the proposed are set back, so it does not have a problem with the minimal setbacks that are required for, or.
No, but they could come back with a plan that have the new proposals at the 0. Like, once you set the setback at 0 or at whatever the other one is, below what the minimum is, anything on that property or anything on that lot line that we've legalized that setback, that is now the setback for that property in its entirety. And it opens up the door to have approvals to like, it's,
And if,
it is, I mean, it's a concern because it's not like we're just legalizing the structure that is there. We are, by changing the setbacks on this property as a minor variance, we are allowing it going forward forevermore. That is what the property now will be. The setbacks for that property will be 0. And a 0 setback on a shoreline residential property is not really acceptable.
and to address that concern, we can either amend the resolution so that it's a rear yard setback of 2 meters and side yard setback of 0 meters for the existing structure, or we can add a condition, or both, if we wanted to do that, add a condition that the minor variance applies to the plan submitted with the application, so that if they were to change their application and try and do an addition that was at the 0 meter lot line, that wouldn't comply with your decision here, and that would not occur.
I would like to put that in.
Yeah, would be also hinged on a crown land added to that, the overall lot, correct? As part of it, no?
Go ahead.
That would be placing a condition that's outside of the control of the owner. They can't fulfill a condition that would be the responsibility of the Crown to approve. However, in my experience, the Crown is very good at providing lot additions to cure encroachments.
Okay. But I would like to just put the minor variance at 0 just for the existing and not anything else on the property going forward. Go ahead.
So what's the total addition that they're putting on? So percentage wise, you said 25 to 25%, you don't need the variance.
That's correct.
Anything over 25%, you do need the variance.
If I could speak, so the existing floor area right now is 1,430 square feet,
Mhm.
and we're increasing to 3,000 square feet, inclusive of a garage.
So you're doubling.
We're adding a garage to this structure, yeah, to house a pontoon boat. So,
Why not do the garage as a detached?
we also have, right beside the garage, we planned for a little games room, kind of mud room when you first come in. So it's, a separated structure. That's the one that's off to one side there. And in front, we're just doing a great room with a cathedral ceiling and look to the lake. So
Okay,
we tried our best to fit it on the property, but we have a hydro line that crosses right through our property. And that line doesn't even have a registered easement on it, so.
that's the aerial service that we see.
Yeah, so
Okay.
we're kind of stuck with that, and we're stuck with the existing well, and there's a forest on most of the property, if you can see on the Google map, so it's kind of like the tightest site, that we had to work with. And so we just kind of continued the same backyard sort of line.
Okay.
But to add to this, we have no plans for any future additions, this is it, and we would be more than willing to conform to any condition that stated such.
It's not just you, right? So
I understand.
when you're done with the property, because these things stay with the property forever, so you may not have any intentions, but the fact that it would then be in writing then becomes a concern for, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, people who may take advantage of the fact that this has been written into that property. And it'd be nice if the acquisition of the Crown land was already done, because it would take away a lot of these questions, and a lot of these concerns. Yeah, if the Crown land was already there, there would be no concerns.
We are in talks with them, and so we started that process. They did warn us that it's going to take some time, possibly 2 years. So,
Yeah, they're
That-
not
that's-
quick.
yeah,
They're being kind at 2 years.
yeah,
They're not quick.
stuff like that too.
I don't think they wanted to know that much.
So we add to the minor variance that it's only for the existing corner and nothing else on the property. How would you word that?
Well, then they'd still have to come back for another variance on, if it's only for the existing, then there are parts of the proposed that still don't meet the setbacks, is that correct? On the garage structure?
That is correct. There is a portion of it that does not comply with the rear yard setback requirement. So it would have to be a variance to permit the rear yard setback of 2 meters and this side yard setback of 0 meters for the existing structure. And then a rear yard setback of, I'd have to look at the plans and do the conversion of a certain number for the new addition.
Proposed garage, the proposed addition on it's a funny property because it's not north, south, east, west.
Yes.
The great room, does that area, does that meet the setbacks at 15.938? Like, is it on both sides, is it on both structures that the,
The great room is
I'm
in
sorry.
compliance. It's just that back garage games room addition, what we call the west addition. That's the one that's following the same line as the existing, but it's not.
So that's
it's not-
the garage?
Yeah, it's because it's on an angle. It's going further away than the existing setback. Right. So we're not making it worse. We're making it better by maybe 5-6 feet or whatever. Yeah. And, if you made a conditional upon these plans as proposed, the building department, then that's all we intend to do. Like I said, there's a lot of forest on the property and trees. It would make sense to build anywhere else. But you're right, I understand the concern, and maybe if you make a conditional upon this plan only, then we will follow that. The intent is this will stay in the family. It has since 1970. And the adjacent property is also family at Adam's place, and a couple down there from Carolyn's cousin as well, so it's a kind of family place. We intend to keep it our family. Hopefully our kids never sell it, but should it be, conditional upon these plans only and these permits? So we've been in for permit now for over a year, so kind of like to get going on it, but yeah.
Go ahead. Thank you, sir.
Through you, Mr. Chair, if the committee would like to, we can reword the resolution to be as the decision of Committee of Adjustment to approve the variance application. And we can bullet point saying rear yard existing, 2 meters, rear yard proposed. At the closest point, it is 13 feet, so about 4 meters. And then side yard setback, 0 meters for the existing. And then we can also add the condition that it has to be in substantial conformity with the plans that were submitted with the application.
I'd be
What
okay
you
with
said.
that. Yeah. I'm okay with that. Are you, is everybody, okay? Are you okay with that? Trying to keep everybody happy here.
It has been a difficult lot to try to redevelop and rebuild. Some of the old structures failing, right? So the roof is failing, and so we're kind of cleaning that up. And our intent as a family is to make this right for the inheritance of our children. We have 4 children. So we want to make sure the lot lines are proper. That's our goal.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Crown wants to let us say everything around there, we'll take it all. It's just nice to say that it's yours when really it's Crown, right?
Yeah. All right. So we'll add that to the conditions to the application. And I think on that note, I can call it to a vote. Everybody in favor with that conditions? Yes. Carried.
Yeah, or
No,
there's a few conditions that we're adding.
the 2 conditions, right?
We have the condition that it be in substantial conformity with the plans that they submitted. And then the decision will be amended to have the rear yard for the existing, the rear yard for the proposed, and then the side yard for the existing.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry to be difficult.
No, that's just important stuff you do here.
Okay, so we'll move on to number 5. Minor variance 2024/14, Georges Farah.
It is moved by Jonathan Sanford and seconded by Kathleen Michon. It is the decision of the Committee Adjustment to approve the variance application made by Georges Ferrand to amend Section 4.2.4 of zoning bylaw 2014-45 to allow the construction of a garage on vacant land for the following reasons. It meets the general intent and purpose of the official plan and zoning bylaw. The variance is considered desirable for the appropriate development of the property. And in the opinion of the committee, the variance is minor in nature. Through you, Mr. Chair, the applicant's primary residence is on an island. He owns this property for parking and access to his main residence. Our current bylaw prohibits an accessory structure to be constructed on a lot in the shoreline residential zone without a principal dwelling being erected first. The proposed location of the garage is situated on the property in a way that it doesn't preclude future construction of a development. So that's the application.
Which is in green, correct?
Yes, that is correct. The red squares are existing structures that are there that are going to be removed, and the green is the proposed garage.
Isn't the lot big enough for construction now of a single dwelling?
Through you, Mr. Chair, yes, it is.
It is, right?
Yes.
But he has no intentions to do that.
No, not at this time.
Okay. Any questions from our panel?
And all the setbacks meet the provisions of the zoning bylaw?
Yes, they do.
All right. Hearing no other questions, I'll bring it to a vote. Everybody in favor? Carried. All right. So Do we still have something to say about the provincial policy statement 2024 that's on our agenda? Or we'll wait?
I will just provide a recap for those that weren't at the Planning Advisory Committee meeting. The new provincial policy statement does come into effect on October 20th. So applications you see at the next meeting will be under that new policy statement. So I do recommend that you give it a read through and just kind of apprise yourself of the policies that we do consider when we're looking at these applications. As per Kathleen's request, I will be sending out an email that has that PPS that you can look for. And at the next meeting, we'll provide just a brief memo of what the significant changes are.
All right. We'll move on to the adjournment. Everybody okay to adjourn? Carried. And next meeting will be November 12th. 24. We good?